But go ahead and do what you're doing, and I'm jump in when you're ready.
Okay. But yeah, just on these processes, man, y'all cannot give up too early. Reason why is, like I said, you got to show yourself proven. You can't, like, come on now, you think you about to get a $60,000 car and you only been studying your rights and the laws for 20 days. It's not gonna go like that. You think you about to beat a case, and you think you about to beat an eviction case and you've only been studying the laws. You don't even know how to stand on the laws that we give you guys. And you think you're about to beat it in 2 weeks, but you don't know how to stand on the laws or know the laws backing what's going on. It's not going to work like that. So give yourself time, at least give yourself a solid year before you think that everything you do is going to work. Because even then, everything you do is not going to work. That's just not how it goes. But yeah, just stay down, stay consistent, because with everything, consistency, when you're consistent with what you're doing, things tend to work out for you. You know what I mean? So keep your heads in them books. Because once you study your enemy and you learn their ways, now you're able to play the game properly. But that's it, man. Y'all don't give up on these processes just because you're not seeing success a little early in the game. Exactly. Stay down, stay focused. But let's get back to the... Go ahead, right?
Those processes you're talking about, right? The formula that we was using when the contract was active, they don't have to honor it now because the contract has been... Okay, so... It's like this. Me and you sign a contract. I don't uphold nothing in my side of the contract.
Right.
The contract then is up to you to do what you want to do with the contract. It's not up to me because I already then violated my end of the agreement. I held up nothing.
Right.
All right. Zero. You held up every part. It's right. So you've upheld every part of the contract that you agreed to. I haven't held up nothing. Now, time-wise, the contract can end. Specific performance being lacking can end the contract. Specific performance in law mean that you do what you said you was going to do in the contract. When you don't do that, you can get an injunctive relief during the life of the contract, compelling the person that's not upholding the end of the contract to perform a specific performance. That means if me and you agree that I won't use green light bulbs in my house because I got it from you. You keep coming by, I keep putting these goddamn green light bulbs in.
Right.
Injunctive relief is in your favor because I'm violating the agreement. So the contract ended July the 4th, 2019. Except we didn't know. I knew, and I acted on it on behalf of all of us, not just me.
Right.
Once I acted on it, now I closed the contract for lack of specific performance. Nobody can show me any treaty that was ever honored by this de facto corporation pretending to be our government. So, because they never honored any other treaties, because they never made them with us in the first place, they made them with $5 Indians that they created in law by paperwork. Right? So this is when I be saying imbeciles in law is the unum sanctum decree. It's saying that until you figure this part out, what we're talking about now, you have no claim to the contract, you are imbecile, therefore you awarded the Pope.
Your subject. Okay, so dang. So if the contract, right? Say for instance, right now, what's going on? People like I tune in heavy. So people are entering into agreements tacitly, and they shouldn't. The contract's dead. So how do you?
That's proving their position that they ignorant under the law. Now, don't nobody want to go through the hard part. Like I already did my hard part. I went through this shit, but I already understood from studying that all I have to do is set myself up where I don't need their system.
Right.
And then I can separate from their system. I can come out their system, right, and still have the system operating over there, but it doesn't control me.
You can enter and exit when you want to.
Right. Now, I have no desire to enter back into their system. Any contract that I'm under, I already told them to show me where I am the debtor. They can't show me that because I've already put it in the public record that I am the de jure, and I got an absolute right to enforce the inalienable rights of any Klansman from the land, of the land, walk in the land, right? I got a right. If I see it, I have a right to tell them and to seize everything on their behalf. Same with you. If let's say you'd have figured it out and it wouldn't have been me.
Right.
You could, everything I did, you would have did because you would have knew as a 5/5 realized party and not a 3/5 compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You would have knew then that, okay, there's a series of steps I have to follow to liberate the people from the oppressive de facto corporation masquerading as a legitimate government.
Right.
Okay, now, so for argument's sake, let's say you did all of the work that I did. It still applied the same because there's no big I's and no little U's on this land over here. And that means that the one that know the way lead the path.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ask nobody, you get up and you do your part. Now, had you done that because you've seen it, nobody else seen it, then you would be the person I am doing right now. You would be doing exactly what I'm doing, informing the people, hey, I already did what we needed to do to reclaim the land and the wealth of the land. See, it ain't just the land, it's also the wealth of the land.
That they got in
right? An injunctive relief demanding that the de facto corporation be dismembered, dismantled, right? Because the corporation is a legal fiction. It has no superior jurisdiction to the de facto human being, the flesh and blood breathing individual.
Now, not to take you off course, but this is important. Now, what happened, because you're talking about the corporation, what happened when Trump basically, quote unquote, lost the election, right? But they killed that corporation, the U.S., and then, resurrected a new one, which Biden is operating under. Was that because the contract had ended and they were trying to re-up a new corporation? So
they on what you call a per diem basis. Okay. The corporation, the transition of government has to take place. There's no way around that. During the interim of the transition, they was the ones in the position of power until we get done, each one teach one to sufficient number to see what's going on the land and to exile the corporation.
Mm.
So they operating now. First they had a 6-month contract that expired, right? All you gotta do is watch the congressional meetings for funding.
Mm.
They got to fund this shit and they got to have congressional hearing. The last one they had was about 4 months ago. And what it said in the meeting was that there's nobody to lend money to the corporation because all of the corporations have been seized and are in the same condition as the corporate United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of this, there's nobody to lend them money. But you still have people with this de facto or with this adhesion contract getting driver's license, participating in their court systems, right? And all that shit.
Right.
Now, it's not enough for 10 people to do it. You got to have enough people in order to snatch the legs from under the table.
At that monkey rule or whatever?
Yep, the 100 monkey effect. That's in psychology. In physics, it's called the critical mass and the point of no return, or what they call it more specifically, event horizon.
Got you.
All right, now, once this takes place and sufficient number of us is aware, hey, my brother done already did the work. Fuck them people, let them leave. Because every time we doing these adhesion contracts, in these nationality claims, we are recontracting with them because every one of their contracts is written in a form of legalese that's designed to always keep us in a deficit.
Mm-hmm.
So now I had to tell y'all the paper trap is the contracts, and the contracts is your tax form for you to work. You're not supposed to need a tax form to work. W-2s and W-4s and 1099s.
Mm-hmm.
right? When the contract was in effect, had you been taught properly, the 1099 OID was your remedy. Or your remedy according to Senate Bill 191 that declared the bankruptcy.
But now that contract is up.
Right. Now, under the contract, they supposed to pay all of our bills, and we supposed to compel them to do so. Now the contract ain't there no more. They can't pay their own bills. The Federal Reserve was given a expiration date of July the 4th, 2022.
Right.
For their charter. Their charter is no longer in effect. What does that mean? We're looking at the economics of a matter. The economics affects the nation as a collective. Gross national product, gross domestic product, right? Now, for those of us who are wise, what we would be doing, like I did, is following the money trail. What is the money trail? We looking at fiat Federal Reserve notes. That's not money. Those are IOUs and markers.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember in the old Western movie, they used to always ask if their marker is good at this bar. And then they would give them a tab based on the marker. Right? So this is what they was doing. So once they understand that the de facto corporation is falling and the Federal Reserve notes are going to have to stop being printed, the inflation is then going to plummet.
That's when people go around barrels of the money.
If the money okay, right now we at the point with the barrels of the money. The White House chose not to let it get as bad as Nazi Germany. It ain't gonna never get that bad. As soon as the people realize that the United States corporation is gone, then we will automatically move into the new system.
So what do you think? That's just like staying out the way, putting together.
Take your ball and go home.
Yeah.
More than anybody else, the sisters. Just they shit. They the oldest souls on the planet. I'm just firstborn of the earthborn. And Big Mama said, leave no stone unturned.
Right.
So I go through it and I examine it and I say, this is what we supposed to be doing. So now I look around to see who's doing this. Nobody. Nobody can tell you that Mexico has as much oil as Saudi Arabia, but they're not allowed to sell it. And why? Mexico is minerally one of the richest land countries in the world based on the modern lines of demarcation or border lines. They minerally rich, but they fiat money poor. And under the invasion system of Spain and the conquistadors, who was blackamoors and tawny Moors, who took over the south western region of the landmass up here, going into Central America, almost all of South America, they took over. Them conquistadors. When they took over, they implemented the same Federal Reserve central banking network that they do everywhere they go. Only the wealth of the land can only be sold if it's agreed by the people organic to the land. So now, when you hear them talking about U.S. oil in reserve, and that somebody just dropped the number of barrels, Chief Strong Eagle, my man, 2,484,354.88 barrels per day. Do you know how much? That's enough money to feed everybody in Mexico, San Salvador, Belize.
Yeah, maybe even.
Look, and Belize, Haiti, and Jamaica. This one day's worth of oil production can feed all of them people for over a year. So we trying to get them to understand the kind of wealth we talking about. This is why we need to get Big Meech out, because Big Meech's job is to teach the young brothers like you how to not lose track of how to control this wealth so it don't control you. When you look back at our history, right, We've been hitting the lotto since the 70s, since like 77 when the lotto first came out. 77, 78, somewhere around there. But every time one of us hit the lotto, we don't go get no accountants to teach us how to deal with this money. And normally within a year, we all flat broke.
Mm-hmm.
How do you win $40 million and you broke in a year? You don't know how to handle money, which proves to them you're an imbecile in law, unum sanctum.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you done been reverted back to the jurisdiction of the papacy because you can't handle money. Big Meech's job, when he experienced the gaining of wealth and the understanding of the mechanics of wealth and how it affected the people, he understood how to teach these young guys how to live from the perspective of wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without losing it. You don't have to lose it. You just have to know how to make the money work for you instead of you working for the money.
Now, is that survival mindset that we've taken over, basically almost subconsciously feeling like you got to spend it because you need to get it from the mud? No. Okay.
It's this mindset. I ain't never had it. I'm going to get everything I think I want.
True.
And I'm going to buy everybody I like something else too.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody you like don't like you, motherfucker. Everybody that you willing to do for not willing to do for you.
Right.
Everybody that hit the lottery is not going to do for you what you will for them once you hit the lottery. Now, the one with the perceptive eye know the ones that would hit the lottery and take care of them, and they will reciprocate that. And the ones that won't, if he wants something, they have to earn it from him. He ain't gonna give it to him, but he gonna give it to him if they meet certain criteria, a qualification. Mm-hmm. So you have to be qualified to handle your wealth before you can receive it. This is what we're doing right now. We've proven we qualify as a collective to receive our wealth in contradistinction to the unum sanctum, where the Pope said, since we was all imbeciles in law, that we have no right that a white man is bound to respect. And the white man is a free white person in law who's carrying out something known to the papacy as the white man's burden. The white man's burden is written in the papal bull as a decree ordaining the priesthood to settle the world and to take it from the peasants, not the peasants, the heathens, right, and secure it for the church. This is all verifiable information that anybody that know how to do 6th grade research can find. Its only problem where we didn't never figure it out before me is because everybody keep looking under the same rock for a different stone. You can't look under the same rock everybody else looked under, because they didn't already wore that out. It's another rock somewhere they not looking under.
Right. That's
the rock that I have to look for. So that angle or perspective is the perspective that I have to look at the problem from. Dr. Neely Fuller, I called him on the telephone and personally talked to him. And he told me about his time in Japan in the military when he was sitting up on the mountains. Now, the mountains of Japan is the home of the Ainu, A-I-N-U. The Ainu is the tribe of Anu, what we call the Golden Dragon tribe. Mm-hmm. The Golden Dragon tribe are the seeds of Anu around the world. They came down here on a stateside visit to inspect the earth for the gold mining, and Enlil started the war while Anu was on the earth. So his entourage that he travels with got trapped in the sibling rivalry between Enlil and Enki, who Enlil is the instigator of. Right? So now Enlil lost, and Anu, he never got involved in the war on anybody's side. But his children don't want to be here. They wasn't supposed to be here this long. So imagine that you go somewhere with your homeboys. It's 10 of y'all. You walk into let's say a club.
Function, yeah.
Right? And 2 of your homeboys get to scrapping with each other and bring everybody in the club involved in it except the rest of your crew. They all looking like, what is these 2 clowns doing? Then he got the whole club fighting like they didn't turn them into sides. Right? That's what happened. So now the rest of the homeboys with you like, dog, you can brought us here with these clowns. I don't want no parts of that shit. So they don't mind what life cast on them on earth because they already don't want to be here.
Right.
Right? So since they got to be here, anything that they can do to assist what is righteous, no matter who's doing the righteous deed, they're going to assist. Right? Whereas enlil children see anybody doing anything righteous going to automatically try to undermine it and tear it down because he wants earth in the earth realm. Sorry, son, but you can't have it. Right? So when you read in certain stories, it gives you pieces to the puzzle. But not until you stop looking where everybody else looking and start looking in a different direction will you ever really see it. Right? And so Dr. Fuller told me the only way you're going to figure this out is you got to look at it like the whole world is a prison and you the ward. That's the only way you can see the problem. And the funny thing about a prison is the warden know everything cracking on the yard. Only people know everything on the yard is what they call gang leaders and the warden. Even the officers don't know everything going on the yard. The inmates keep shit from them. But the warden, for some reason, got a motherfucker somewhere in that bitch telling him all the news. He know everything going on in the penitentiary. He know who fucking with the boys, who fighting on the basketball court, who's selling the dope, who's smuggling it in, which one of these motherfuckers they using the keys to the dope to bring it in. They know which officer you using to bring it in. They know if you're using alternative staff members to bring it in. And whenever they get tired, whenever the prison become problematic to the warden, he shut down your perks. He can't shut them down if you don't know what they is.
Right.
And he know the nigga that make the knives. He know the nigga that take the hits.
Right.
The warden know everything, and the only way he could possibly know it, an inmate is telling it to him.
He got an inside man. Yep.
He got more than an inside man. He got not just an inmate.
Right.
It got to be a gang leader. It got to be a minister of one of these religious organizations. It got to be a leader of one of these groups that's feeding the information to the warden. Because other than the warden, the only other motherfuckers know everything moving is the niggas that's making it move. So when you start looking at it from the warden, you're trying to look at who on the yard can say what's going on for real. And then you start seeing the dirty players stand out like you looking at a real penitentiary yard. In politics, in religion, in warfare, all in history, right? You can see it all. But as long as you're looking at it from a regular inmate perspective, you can't see shit. You just think you do.
So you got to zoom out. Look at the bigger picture.
Look at the bigger picture.
So then who would you say is the warden? If obviously, I want to say the Pope, but, he's still praising somebody that's walking. So
the Pope is the front man. He's the what you call chief executive officer working on behalf of Marduk. Marduk was Enlil's warrior son who he relied on for military strategy, and he didn't want to be here either, but he had to come and support his father. So he made a deal with Tahuti that when the shit was over, that and they sealed it with a marriage arrangement. When the shit was over, he'd give Tahuti everything and he'd leave this bitch. And that's exactly what he did. He only stayed here long enough to fulfill the purpose that he was brought here, which was to fight the Earth War, even though he didn't agree with the war. If you fight a war you don't agree with, you're going to lose. All of us know that. All of us know that study military strategy. If you fight a war that you don't agree with, you're going to lose. It's a moral bankruptcy that takes place. Right? And you're going to not just lose, but you're going to end up causing an insurrection and be overthrown and deposed by your subjects.
Because you're not willing to do what it takes.
No, because you don't agree with the war. The war is wrong. In order for you not to agree with it and you righteous in your heart, it got to be basically fundamentally wrong. And if you fight in a war that you know is basically and fundamentally wrong, you have no passion for victory. You have no keenness of perception in order to win the battle. You slipping. You got cracks in the game now. Right? And this is what they've been doing to keep us in this stupor. Because we don't never look at different ways of looking at things. Everybody not supposed to see everything the same way. But we supposed to notice enough to know that I wonder what he's looking at, because if I could see it how he could see it, then we probably can put a bigger piece of the puzzle together. So we all come with our puzzle piece and we have conversations with each other as men, as a man and a woman, or as two women. The individuals from the land are having conversations as casual conversations, but through Freudian slips, subconscious emanations. They're going to be passing critical information about what's going on the land. It's the culture of Earth. We automatically do it, but when we forget that we automatically do it, we can never recall why we was doing it. If you don't know why you're doing it, you're less likely to repeat the successes. But once you know why you're doing it, you're not going to repeat the failures. You're only going to try to repeat the success. Right? So when you look at military action, is a political act of violence. Right? It's a political act of violence for the furtherance of a political agenda. Politics is the means by which leadership communicates to the people in groups of mass and numbers. Right? Politics can be passed off as government, but politics is not government. Government is politics use government to control people, because govern means to control, mentis, the mind. All right. So if the politicians is using government to keep us in control, and this is only a secondary position, who's behind the politician? And that's where we looking. That's where we need to start looking at, right? So there's no coincidence that all of these so-called senators, congressmen, and presidents been some kind of way related.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
Right? But now, what difference do that make? Becomes the next question. Because this is familial.
Bloodline.
Right. But not only is it familial, it's also a ruse. It's a ploy. So that you can think that the ones that's pretending to be the politicians is the family that's running everything. So now we got to look at common denominators, right? That they all have in common as senators, congressmen, presidents and vice presidents, secretaries of state, and directors of the Department of Justice, etc. Here's the common denominator. 90+% of them are in a secret society. 90+%. That means we got to stop looking at government now. Look at secret societies.
Right.
But now we need to narrow it down, because we got almost every politician is a member of a secret society.
Yeah.
So now we got to get more specific, right? What's the controlling secret society? And who are the emerging figures that wield the most influence? The emerging figure that wields the most influence, right? His secret society is the one running the show. So now we looking at George Herbert Walker Bush.
That nigga's going there. Skull and Bones, right?
Skull and Bones. Common denominator pops up. When you say Skull and Bones, you talking pirates.
Oh.